Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy Network platform. We had some technical glitches going on, but it's all good. Well, let me tell you how I met Alla. Let me go back. Let me rewind. So, because of what's going on in the Ukraine, I felt the need to find out and to see if we have brothers and sisters who live in the community, that live here that are Ukrainian, and just reach out to them and tell them, hey, we support you, we love you. Of course, we can't put ourselves in their shoes, but we can at least support them. So on that post or thread, I think now we're at 358 people, So while doing that, I met this wonderful, charming lady who started educating me. And her name is Miss Alla Lemon. Hello, Alla.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, everyone.
You are, because this show is here to educate people on what's going on in the Ukraine. We hear the news. So my question to you is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? When did you come to the United States? You're Ukrainian born and raised, and you came to the United States. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I have some questions that people have messaged me to ask.
Yes, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate you having me on your broadcast, and I appreciate, thank you for everyone who's watching. And I know that Americans, American people are the most generous, loving, kind people, and they do care a lot what's going on because they see the genocide of a whole country and they want to know a little bit more. I am an American citizen. I came to United States in 2001. So um, I've been here, what, 21 years? Yes.
So when you came to the United States, did you know how, were you speaking English, or you didn't speak any English?
I did have a little knowledge of English, just enough to converse, but yes, obviously I learned it as I went.
Okay, so do you still have family in the Ukraine?
My whole family is in Ukraine. My mom, my dad, my sister, my brother's family, my aunt, uncles, my whole family is in Ukraine.
I cannot begin to imagine you're here, you're in a safe place, in a safe country, and your family is stuck there. I mean, how are you staying sane? How are you getting up every morning, and how are you doing this?
Jackie, to tell you the truth, I have a lot of friends here that from Ukrainian as well as from Russia. And to say that we stay insane, we um, we don't sleep. We feel guilty to order a meal from a restaurant. I frankly feel guilty driving a car. And the first 3 days, I did not sleep. So is my friend. We talk all night until we just, our body cannot take it anymore. The guilt is that here I am. I had a thoughts of jumping on an airplane and I have to be there with them. And frankly, I prayed about it. I said, why? Because I have to be there with them. I have to feel their pain. And the answer was, you in United States because you're here to help them. They don't have anybody. So you are their support. And that's why I chose you. So that's my answer. And that's to answer your question. That's how I stay sane, knowing that the reason I'm here and not jumping, I am more help to them being alive here and have financial needs and resources to help them than being there in the bomb shelter or dead.
Okay, can you, for some people that they quite don't understand what's going on. So either they're not watching the news or they still don't understand it. But first of all, let me say this to you, okay? We love you.
Thank
We
you.
support you. You're a strong woman to talk about this because we wanted someone who can explain what's going on and what they're going through. We're not trying to sensationalize this. Some people just need a clear understanding from someone who, who's going through it. So just know that we support you. We're praying for you and we're here for you because we're a big community and we love you. So the fact that you're here, how much more can people support you and other people in what they're going through?
Um, of course, prayers, and I mean real prayers. I don't mean I'm sending you my prayers. I mean, if you inside your together with the family, when two come together, God hears our prayers. Gather in your families, truly hold your hands and pray. Pray for this nightmare to stop. I don't want to be blunt, but pray for somebody. you know, I want to say pray for hope, but somebody have to stop this evil.
Right.
And evil is the one who is in charge of that, is Putin. Um, and of course, there's multiple websites that you can support soldiers and my I don't want to take responsibility, saying I'm going to be the one who there's a links I can send to Jackie if whoever wants to, if you can donate. There's a website that money goes directly to the families that are running out of money, running out of food, they just running out of resources. And personally, I work for a big organization, and the love and support that I received from my team is beyond overwhelming. And they reaching out and they said, "Alla, we don't understand a thing, but when we watch the news, we know it's your family and we care." So
Can you break it down exactly what is going on? Why is this happening from your perspective?
Jackie, it's so I'll try to explain in a plain terms. Well, I'm not a politician, I'm not a
Right.
historian. I'm an American citizen that just so consumed with my life here, with the things that going on in our life, in my life, in my country here in the United States. But to I guess I'll have to give a little background. I
Yes.
don't know if people hearing that Putin says that Ukraine, Ukraine is not a real country. I don't know if you heard that term. Ukraine is not a nation, and people are like, what? Well, just Ukraine is a country. It's the second largest country in Europe. It's the second largest to Russia, and I hear it's the size of Texas. It's has 43 to 44 million citizens, 44. So it's not a small country, and the history goes, it's way back to medieval times, the ties with Russia. Russian and Ukrainian and Belarusian people, we all have very entangled backgrounds. We are brothers, we are sisters. I can tell you, we all came. So it's started with the ninth century when Kievskaya Rus was formed, ninth century, and the beautiful city where I grew up, where my family, majority of my family, my mom, my sister, my dad, my all my family on my dad's sides, in Kiev, in capital of Ukraine. And you see those churches. I see the live reporters having live stream from Kiev. Those churches are over 1,000 years old.
Mm.
It's my city is the most beautiful city. I still to this day living in United States for 20, I'm a citizen. My city is my heart. It's so historical. It's so beautiful. We have beautiful cathedrals, just beautiful churches. We have museums. It's incredible. But to go back to history, so like I said, it's going back to ninth century, and I don't know if America knows. Uh, some knows about as, a murder of Tsar family Nicholas and his
Mhm.
children, and that's how Soviet Union practically was formed. So there was a Russian Empire from 1800s to 1970. So Russia and Ukraine, they were part of that Russian Empire. And in 1917, when communist rebels came, they pretty much collapsed this Russian Empire that lasted, what, 400 years, 300 years, and formed Soviet Union. Well, the Soviet Union was formed in 1922. So as you can see, prior to that, Russia and Ukraine was a part of the same, I wouldn't say land, but the same government empire. And when you hear Putin saying Ukraine was created by Lenin, Lenin was a communist leader who was in charge of overthrowing czars. Um, Lenin, Ukrainians in 1918, they wanted to be an independent republic. And Lenin recognized because Ukrainians, they've been fighting for their land for centuries, literally. And he recognized and he gave, in 1980, he gave an independence to Ukraine. Ukraine became an independent republic in 1980, but in 1922, Soviet Union was formed. And as you know, since from 1922 to 1991, once again, Russia, Ukraine, and many other former Soviet Union country was under one government. So after Soviet Union fell apart in 1991, that's when Ukrainian finally was proclaimed her independence, and from 1991 to until now, Ukraine is independent country with their own language, with their own presidents, law, constitution, flag, and everything that comes with independent country.
Wow. See, and that's the history lesson people need to know. So, and Putin wants to go. What are the resources that's there that why he wants it? Is it just because they're independent and he wants to bring them in? He wants Russia to govern Ukraine?
Well, though Soviet Union fell apart and Ukraine became an independent, politically there was always an influence over Ukraine. Putin been in power for what, 20 years? I mean, very long time. I think I was living in Ukraine. He was still president. It's like the guy is not. It's like it's scary. Like he is not a human. But so in 2014, so Ukraine decided that we want to be part of European Union. Enough is enough. Been under Russia. We're tired. We want to be part of European Union. We're Europe. We're second largest European country, and we do not want to be under Russia anymore. And in 2014, at that time, there was a President Yanukovych who was a Russian appointed, and it was falsified elections. So people's voices did not count. It was all falsified, and Yanukovych became not in 2014, he was a president in 2014, and he was had a strong ties with Russia, and he decided that he does not want to sign the treaty agreement with NATO, that he wants to stay under Russian power. And Ukrainian people said enough is enough. And in 2014, huge protest. It's called revolution. It wasn't just protest. It started as a protest. It turned into revolution. And right downtown Kiev, my city, and people said, we are going to fight and we are going to overthrow this president who is Putin's puppet. And it got so escalated. The Yanukovych, he ran like a rat. He escaped. I think he ran to Russia, hide, because he realized people are just raising up by thousands. So what Putin did at that time, he intervened. He put his Russian troops in Ukraine to help, to stop that. And in that time, which resulted at annexation of Crimea. So pretty much he took Crimea, which is part of Ukraine that by the sea has incredible resources, and he proclaimed Donetsk and Lugansk, or part of Donetsk and Lugansk, if I understand, as a independent republic, not quite independent republic, but yeah, I guess you can say independent republic. So by doing that, that's how I understand. So by doing that, Crimea became Russia, which ironically, not half, my mom's side, my aunt, my cousins, and their children, my nephews and nieces, they all live in Crimea, so they are Russians now, or under Russia, as well as Lugansk and Donetsk. And that's where the Lugansk and Donetsk, that's what Putin used as a pretense to invade Ukraine. So Lugansk and Donetsk, they still honor Ukrainian territory. So they did not become, as far as I understand, they did not become a Russian territory. It was proclaimed independent. And that's where propaganda comes from Putin, saying that Ukrainians were shooting missiles in Donetsk people. And then I know personally a person who spent 8 years working with trying to evacuate orphanage children from Donetsk and Lugansk. So you hear these two stories, one that coming from Russian, that Ukrainians attacking Donbass, and one that comes from Ukraine, that no, we're not attacking our people, we're fighting you. You invaded Donbass and Lugansk, and you put your troops there. And that's where Putin decided, you have to understand, like since 2014, the talk about Ukraine joining European Union and NATO, it just became more and more prominent. The people wanted this president, and is currently right now Zelensky. Prior president was also Putin's puppet. So this president, who was comedian and actor, I don't know nothing about him. I never heard about him. People were watching, he was an actor. He became a president in 2019, and he is the one who started real talk about Ukraine joining. Putin said, I will not allow Ukraine to join NATO. I will not allow Ukraine to be a threat to Russia. And that's where it's all began. So Ukraine, they still proceeded with talk about joining European Union. And then Putin came, okay, there is Russian speaking Russians in Ukraine that living now, that are oppressed, that get shot at, and that's how that was his pretense to invade Ukraine. No one, here's the thing, um, I watch the news, and I listen to politicians, and no one in the world expected Ukrainian people fighting for their land like they do. No one. Putin thought it's going to be just like Crimea. He's going to walk in, he's going to take over, and it's going to be done. So when he went to, under pretense to liberate Lugansk and Donbass, he was like, hey, I'm going to go there. Everybody's going to start clapping, greeting. I'm just might as well, all Ukrainians just going to say, welcome, you know, just thank you for bombing us. Thank you for throwing missiles. So it just shows how delusional he is. And I'm telling you, I listened to his speech. I never listened to. I just listened to hear what he's to wanting to know what he says to Russian people. The goosebumps went down my back. The hatred he had in his voice towards Ukrainian people frightened me. I'm like, this person, he hates a country of 44 million people, just like Stalin hated Jews and he hated Ukrainian. And everybody knows about Holocaust, the massive massacre of Jewish Ukrainians, millions, thousands. Well, nobody knows about Holodomor, which is genocide of Ukrainian people by Stalin. And not to go deep into history because we want to stay at there, but I just want to how I felt. Stalin, he starved to death. At least they estimated between 5 to 10 million Ukrainians starved to death. And when I say starved to death, just some, if you want, you can, after this, Google Holodomor, the genocide of Ukrainian people by starvation. So when I heard him, I'm like, he hates Ukrainian people just like Stalin hated Ukrainian people and Ukrainian Jews. And he invaded, and I must say, when I watched the news and I heard the phrase minor excursion from our leaders, I kind of cringed because I said, do you understand what are you doing? You just gave him a green light to minor excursion, which shows me that I don't know about the whole world, they let it happen. And it's my opinion, but that's how I see. When a leader of country like United States of America says small excursion, I'm not sure how he phrased it, but we will not intervene if it's small insurgent. But basically he was saying, hey, just go there a couple of days, take over the country, and we're just gonna clap and everybody's gonna be peacemaker. And I cringe. I'm like, wake up. You do not know who this person is. You do not know how many wars he started. You do not know about invasions of Georgia, Syria, what a Chechnya. What are you doing? So when Putin invaded Ukraine, he thought it, like I said, he thought it's going to be 2 days deal. He did not expect Ukrainian people rose up And I'm telling you, the spirit of Ukrainian people, basically, you can see we're gonna fight until our last breath, but we will not give you our country. And for American, like for somebody who don't understand and say, well, it's kind of confusing. Maybe he wants to liberate some Russian speaking people. There is, I don't know, hundreds of thousands Russian speaking. I am Russian speaking. My mom is Russian speaking. My friend is Russian speaking. I lived in Ukraine. I never spoke Ukraine. My mom doesn't speak Ukraine. We know Ukraine. We can speak Ukraine, but my first language is Russian because I grew up and I went to school during Soviet Union. So my, I mean, I can speak Ukrainian, but I visit there. I went there recently, took my daughter there. I spoke Russian. My sister with me speaks Russian. My friends speak Russian. So for people to understand this evil, he is not just killing Ukrainian people. He's killing Russian people. There is, I don't know, 20% of approximately, but I know personally, I went to school with Russian people. I mean, we never like you Russian. We look the same. There's no we. You can you put us next to each other. Uh, we speak the same language. We can speak Russian. We can speak Ukrainian. It doesn't matter. So my best friend is Russian. So this lie, this propaganda that somehow I'm like, I lived in Ukraine for 21 years. It's a lie. My mom speak Russian still. My sister speak Russian still. My dad's side, whole dad's side speaks Russian. They never speak Ukraine to each other. And they the ones who are sitting, who could get into bomb shelters. And they the ones who missile are get shot at and rockets get shot at. So this evil, I'm not gonna say in front of people, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It's a lie. It's a propaganda. He could care less about Russian speaking citizens of Ukraine. What he cares about is have a power, and he will not allow, he says, you are part of the Soviet Union. My goal is to bring that Soviet Union power back, and you Ukrainian that I just pushed you around all these years, you are not going anywhere. You are going to be under my power, under my influence, like I said so. And that's what it is. He never forgave that Russian appointed president who ran away like, I'm not going to call an animal because animals are much nicer than he is, and animals are innocent, but you know what I mean. This piece of low life ran. He never forgave this to Ukrainian people, never. And this was his goal. He just waited for the perfect opportunity. They said everything is set. Everything is set. Already videos are set. I can tell as of today, Russian people do not have Twitter. Facebook was blocked.
Yeah, I heard about that. All
Yeah,
social media.
this
All social media.
he's preparing. He's preparing. This talk about NATO did not accept, NATO denied to protect Ukrainian sky. So they said, we cannot help you 44 million people. And I understand my husband is a military, retired military, and he said they are afraid of World War III. And my answer, how? How United States and Europe created this evil that the whole Europe and the powerful country of peacemaker United States afraid of one person. Please tell me how. And I can tell you how. We give him $700 million a day give him because he provides oil and gas to Europe. And as we know, we're buying gas, oil from him, United States. $700 million a day. And 40% of that money he uses to strengthen his military. So, as an American citizen, you can imagine how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can imagine how I feel. Yes, I feel that I'm responsible for it. I know I feel that I'm responsible. I feel that my tax money, I don't want to get
Amen.
upset because it's not about, but I'm telling you how I feel.
Right.
My tax money goes, my husband's tax money, my child's tax money, my friends' tax money, friends who adore me, friends who crying with me, their tax money going to kill
Your people.
my people. And that's the truth. And and I don't know how to deal with it. I mean, I don't know how to comprehend that, but that's what's happening right now. We, Europe, UK, and United States, I feel we're responsible for creating this evil. Not we did not create it, and I apologize. I'm not gonna say we created. I'll take this word. We give power
To
to
him.
this evil. We give power for him to tell the whole world, you stop. You watch me to shooting missiles in orphanages when little innocent children die. You watch me shooting missile in oncology hospitals when patients dying from cancer. You watch me shooting in daycares. You watch me shooting and there's Russian people there. So for him to say he came to liberate those people, those mothers who given birth under fire, under missiles, those are Russian speaking mothers. So those patients, those are Russian patients too, not just Ukrainian. You know, those little innocent children, orphan children, they are children of Russians too. You know, those people who live in residential apartments and we see them blowing up, those are Russians too. So I wish I could scream to Russian people, but the scary part is the propaganda in Russia is so it's it's I I cannot find you telling people relatives from United States, Russian relatives, American citizens calling their families and saying, please do something. Go on the streets, gather in millions. You are 150 million people country. Do something. And the answer they get, and it's the truth. What are you talking about?
But you do have some people, some Russians are out there though. You do have some Russians out there that are trying to, because they're against. So I want to make people, let's put this out there. We're not saying all Russians, but
No,
you do have some, you
I'm
do
not
have
talking
some.
about Russian people in United States. There is this Russian people in who brave enough, and I'll tell you why they're brave enough. Because Putin said it's a law right now. If you even repost a message about war in Ukraine, anything negative, you are getting 15 years in jail. Yes, those brave people that you saw, handful people,
Mhm.
they are all taken, the children. I saw the 5 policemen, whatever, Putin killers attacking, jump on an elderly lady and drag you. I'm like, why five? What she's gonna do to you? And the child in front of her, they're pushing her in the car. So the brave people who came out, they're right now in jail. And the scary part, so my friend's saying, Allah, do not, because you do not even know what's gonna happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand there are some people who watching, especially elderly generation, and I'm not saying it's their fault.
Right, right.
The propaganda is so strong that every channel you turn is telling you the same thing. The same thing. There's oppressed Russian speaking citizens in Ukraine. We are peacemakers. We're going to have this short military operation. We're going to free those people. And if you turn every channel and that's all you hear,
That's
why would
propaganda.
you go
Mm-hmm.
look anywhere else? You like,
So where are you getting your news? Where you get? How are you getting your? Well, I don't want you to give out too much because you don't know who knows who. But uh, are you getting? How are you getting your information?
okay, so I am watching Ukrainian news,
Mhm.
live 24/7 Ukrainian news. It's called Nazhivo. So they show news all over Ukraine. So that's what I'm watching. And of course, I'm watching the same news channels as you are, as everyone.
Right.
So that's what I'm using. But right now, he Putin shut down any news media channels that are not operated by him. As of today, Russian people do not have access to Facebook and Twitter. As of right now, he's bossing people from Crimea, already staging a video of people clapping and greeting them.
Mm.
Yes, yes. The problem Ukraine face right now, about 2, 3 months ago, he sent, I don't know how many, but every city has people who came and rented apartment. Now these people, yes, now these people they put in. Oh, honestly, I don't understand what they're doing, but they put in some kind of military dots on buildings. They send in information, location, or they've already been sending. So every city is dealing with that, with people who already will stage there
So
to
this
give
was
it.
well thought out. You
Yes,
go out,
very.
you get people to go live in these apartments, and when the time comes, they can do it. Wow.
Yeah, so they will pretty much Russian agents. I watched, YouTube videos. I watched some channels, and I'm what I'm reading, the comments I'm reading. I want to say, who's writing this? Who? Wait, you don't see that thousands of people died? You don't see that? How you cannot see this travesty? How you cannot see the genocide? And my friend saying, Allah, stop it. He has a army, thousands of people who doing cyber war. That's their job, 24/7. Type. Putin is great. Ukrainians oppressors. It's so she said, you're not talking to people. Don't try. She said, don't try because you are not talking to people. You
And what
talking.
happens is when he gets those people to type those things, right? All the negative stuff, not negative, all the truthful stuff that's supposed to be here. But when you get those cyber people and they're typing, he's great, he's great, he's great, he's great, he's great, he's great, the truth goes down. And
Exactly. And
the
it's
algorithms, yeah.
exactly. And that's what I'm reading comments and I'm like, I'm looking for one, and then I'll find one saying, people, what are you doing? Your soldiers dying by thousands. You cannot hide the videos of those POWs, uh, people who were captured by Ukrainian. They are all over the media. You don't see those little children. I'm talking my daughter's age children, innocent, who scared and say every one of them saying, "We were sent to training." We were told. I don't know if they were told to say that, but it's children, children. But what he's doing now, you have to understand. I have family in Russia, my blood family. I have family in Crimea who is part of Russia now. My nephews getting recruited to fight against their cousins.
Oh,
And
wow.
yes, it's a reality. It's a reality. My aunt was calling my mom, weeping. She cannot find her grandchild because he was recruited by Russians. So you have to understand those boys who going to fight
Against each other.
under the pretense that they are liberating, then they come there and they see people stopping tanks with their own hands, people fighting without equipment. They getting confused. What's going on? Aren't you happy? And they one city, I'm not I don't want to, because there's so many cities. I think it's Mariupol, or there's I'm not gonna say because I'll make mistake, but there's
Right.
one city that has like 80% of popular Russian population, or Russian speaking population, should I say. And the troops, tanks came, and they all came out and screaming, "Get away! We are nobody oppressing us. Nobody's. We are fine. Get away from our land. Get away." And of course, they can hide. They can use propaganda, but the truth is spreading. So the Russian soldiers' morale, they are exhausted. They running out of food. They running out of a reason why they come in here. They cannot understand the resistance they getting from Ukrainian citizens. You know, it's hard to understand. In United States, we have guns. In
Mhm.
Ukrainian, they don't.
Well, let me
People,
tell you something what I saw because my brother's out there in Europe, and I don't know if you saw the video or the picture. There was a picture, and it was so what's the word I'm looking for? It was so riveting to me. What happened was a Russian soldier ran out of food, need something to drink. A Ukrainian went over to them, gave them some food and some water. He started crying. And you
Jackie,
and you could tell he was thinking like, why am I hurting you people? Why you could tell that's what he was thinking.
Jackie, as I said in the beginning, our history goes back to ninth century. My mom says she's Russian in her passport. I'm Ukrainian. So we are in the way. We are brothers and
Mm-hmm.
sisters. I'm watching these captured soldiers. They look like my nephew. They speak like my nephew. They look like my relatives. It's not some invasion where you can even differentiate between
Right,
who is who.
right.
We are talking about brother sent to kill a brother. And when when you so yes, of course, Ukrainians, we have relatives, like I said, in Russia. They have relatives in here. You know, I don't know what the soldiers, of course, they were brainwashed and everything, and
Right.
maybe they did believe they're going to free some Donetsk and Lugansk, and then they're like, wait a minute, that's not a liberation. That's a war. We're shooting missiles
Let
in
me let me let
civilians.
me Decrypto Space said, totally speechless right now. Stay strong, women of Ukraine.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I want to tell you guys, I am proud to be an American. I am, like I said, I feel extremely guilty, but I know we do better when we know better,
Mhm.
but the message, what message I'm getting as an American citizen, propaganda is a powerful thing. It works. It works. So read not just one source, read multiple sources. Because what we're witnessing now, people who want to know the truth, yes, they dig in, but a generation older, like my mom, she calls me on Viber. I was like, Mom, please. She's like, oh my God, spend 40 minutes. I was just pressing buttons. And I'm like, Mom, it's Viber. You just, so they are computer literate,
Mhm.
they are from a communism. They new generations, younger generation, yes, but in older generations, they don't know. The internet is like a spaceship for them.
Yeah.
They don't use it. So they turn channel one, Ukrainians are aggressors and they oppressed the Russian speaking people. Okay, channel. So then channel, and we're talking about 20 years. 20 years. We're not talking about a day, 2 week, 5 years. We're talking about 20 years of propaganda. So it changes people. It
Mhm.
changes people.
Mhm.
They believe it. I mean, they're not a bad people. It's not, they just believe it. Do you understand? If they believe that, and they, like, when their relatives call them and say, do you see this? Like, what are you talking about? There's nothing on the news. Guys, it's all lie. Ukrainian government lying to you. And you hear these videos, brothers calling brother and he's cursing him out. I'm telling you, the missiles flying in apartment, they're killing us. The Putin's troops killing us. And he's like, listen, bro, please calm down. It's all Ukrainian propaganda. I'm watching the news. There's nothing. There's nothing going on. And that's the reality. So that's the reality, that propaganda is extremely, extremely powerful. Feeding monster, giving power to tyrant is real. We're witnessing now. We're witnessing now that one man can blackmail half of the world and they say, yes, sir.
He's the monster. I call it Dr. Frankenstein meet your monster. Because when you keep feeding it and feeding it, now the monster is just out of control, and everyone's like, what do you do? What do you do? And he has to be stopped. I'm here to say, you've educated me so much. I've always loved the Tsar dynasty, reading it, and everyone remembers who at a certain age when Ronald Reagan said, "Mr. Gorbachev, take down the wall." I used to read stuff on Stalin, and all those little things. Because going to Russia, going to places, it's one of those things on my list, because the cathedrals, Moscow, and hearing about the Ukraine, how it is, and the Ukrainian people. So let me say this to you: the Ukrainian people are not just survivors; they're thrivers. They are surviving with so little, and they're showing this man that you're not going to take our country. We're going to fight for with every bone and breath in our body. We don't care who doesn't intervene. If no other
Yes.
country wants to help us, we're going to do it. And I'm here to say, you should be proud of your countrymen and women, because they're doing it. They're doing it. And this too is opening up the world. Because even though you live in the United States, you have to see what's going on. Because think about this: if it's happening there, it's just a matter of time before something happens here. That's how
Oh,
I. That's how I. People may say,
absolutely.
"Jackie, you don't know." No, because remember, look what happened with that man. During concentration camp. I don't even like saying his name. Things can happen. So if you don't control the monster, or this person, it little by little, because look at the gas prices, look what's going up. So you can't say
It doesn't affect.
Ukraine, it doesn't matter. It
No.
matters because it affects us, it affects our pockets. And I think that's when people wake up, when it affects their pockets,
Then
because
they
how
start
long,
learning.
right,
Yes.
how long can we use our reserve? How long can we use our reserve? So I'm just hoping that people that are watching, because I'm really going to market this show like all my other shows and share it, because listening to you, I'm going to be honest. Wow, you educated me than watching it on television and listening to the politicians talk, because I get lost in the busy talk. But
Mhm.
listening to you giving the education, we needed that. We needed the education going back to how many years? We needed to know Russia and the Ukraine were brothers and sisters. And
Since
it took
ninth century, not
exactly
19th, ninth
ninth
century.
century. And it took
Yes.
one monster to try to break them. But little
Yes.
by little, they're coming back in their scene, because that scene really hit me. Tears was running down my eyes because whoever snuck that video out, they snuck it out. And you could see this man, and the Ukrainians weren't doing anything to him. They were feeding him and giving him food. He broke down and cried. Then he realized, why am I doing this? Why? So I want to say, and I'm definitely going to talk back to you, in the next coming weeks. We want you back on to see what's going, because you're going to be our correspondent for what's going on, because
Yeah.
you're educating us. And I want you to know, don't feel guilty. Do not feel guilty, because if you want, you're here to help them. You're here to help spread the news. So whatever, maybe, let's say, I'm just going to say, let's say our government is not giving us the truth. Not saying that they are, but if we have you who can help educate people as well. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
want you to
Well,
say,
trust me, Jackie. I am, like I said, I lived here and for 21 years, and sometimes I don't know who's the president there, because like I
right,
call my sister, "How you doing, guys?" and they talk about their personal, and I'm like, "Well, why do I care who's the president?" Like, I mean, as long as how we like, as long as my sister's fine.
right, right.
War, nobody even thought about war. Everybody's thinking how the same thing is here, how to feed their kids, what college they're gonna go, things in daycare, who's sick, who's not. So people like they so when I talk to them, I'm like, I don't care what they do in there. Like, I'm calling to, so I what I know is pretty much what I learned like in the past 9 days or so, or not the history but the events. And I mean, I did hear about 2014 revolution because it was big thing, so I hear about things, but do I go into depth? I talk to my sister. now i'll be now I'll be reading news, and I'll be educating myself not only about the country where I'm citizen at, but about country where I was born.
And we appreciate you for doing that. Alla, thank you so very much for sharing this. I'm going to put this on next door. I'm going to post it, and because I want people to see what's going on. So again, we thank you. We're praying for you, and not just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna pray for you." No, no, no. You are my prayer line. My prayer line is 6 to 7:30 every morning. We're gonna put this on the prayer line, not just for you, but
Thank
the
you, Jackie.
Ukrainian family and the Russians that are out there that are doing it because they have to do it or else they may be killed. But we have to get this man. You have to. I want to say something, but I think YouTube will strike my video. We definitely have to remove this man from power by any means necessary. That's how I look at it. When you have a rabid dog, you have to put down that dog. That's all I'm going to say. So, without further ado, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Women of
Thank
Worthy
you.
Network. We have the wonderful Alla. We'll bring her back on to have more conversations. And Alla, again, thank you for responding. Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you for being here for us, guys. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And thank you. Thank you.